NAB profits are down. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Got my lunchtime stein of coffee, and I thought we would have a look at this article because I know it's going to be heartbreaking for a lot of people that NAB's profits tumble or crash down by 10%, and the executives are missing out on the bonuses. This is a piece written by Clancy Yates, and I thought we'd go through it. Let's just have a look. Before we read the article, let's jump over here and have a look at the share price for NAB. You can see here, morning's trade, it jumped up from this level here. So I wonder if the market was expecting a decline in their profits and priced that in overnight trade, and if some people, took advantage of it or just plunged all the way down there. But yeah, let's have a look here. Let me know if you made some money trading NAB shares this morning. So National Australia Bank's bottom line has been battered by hefty customer refund costs, with profits dropping 10.6% as top executives miss out on short-term bonuses. Oh boy, how are they going to handle it? In a result it described as disappointing, NAB on Thursday wrapped up the round of full-year earnings from the country's biggest banks, delivering a cash profit of $5.1 billion. The result included after-tax charges of $1.1 billion in charges for customer compensation claimed, which the bank had previously disclosed. So it looks like, well, the market had accounted for it. NAB had been expected by analysts to deliver a cash profit of 5.1 to 5.2 billion. So yeah, the market had accounted for it. Although the bank did not cut its dividend, as some had feared, it will raise extra capital from shareholders through its dividend reinvestment plan. As all banks struggled to grow profits, NAB's results showed a sharp slowdown in the bank's home loan growth, which Chief Executive Phil Kronecker called out as a key weak spot. This year has been very challenging, requiring significant actions for us to deal with past issues and make real changes aimed at earning trust with customers and the community, Mr. Kronecker said. NAB said on Thursday that none of the bank's top level of executives would receive short-term bonuses this year, nor would they receive increases in their fixed pay. This was in response to the large provision for refunds, damage to its reputation, and management of non-financial risks. The results showed NAB's housing portfolio contracted in the September quarter, while there was also a small contraction in its net interest margin, which compares the cost of funds with what it charges for loans. Home loan growth in Australia is clearly an area of disappointment for us, Mr. Kronecker said. Falling interest rates are squeezing margins because banks are struggling to cut deposit interest rates in line with lending rates, and Mr. Kronecker said that even if rates remain unchanged, the bank would face further downward pressures on its NIM. Coupled with weak credit growth, these conditions would make revenue growth hard to achieve in the year ahead, he said. And profit growth would be largely dependent on how it managed costs and the expenses of bad loans. NAB's common equity Tier 1 capital ratio was 10.31% of risk-weighted assets, which is below the 10.5% threshold of unquestionably strong that the banks must meet by January. So, just think about this, guys. We don't have fractional reserve banking here in Australia. They need to have a certain portion of their assets in different categories, and mortgages are their assets. Now, if they won't, if those assets maybe decline in value by a significant portion, like housing around the country and apartments around the country, what do you think is going to happen? Is it in their interest to default a whole lot of people? I don't think it is. What will they do? Well, we have what's happened in America, where a whole lot of people have defaulted or at risk and remained in their properties. I wonder. It's a question for you to mull over in the comments, everyone. To raise more capital, the bank will offer a discount on its dividend reinvestment plan and partially underwrite the DRP. So, with that, is that a roundabout way of a share buyback? discounted shares, maybe. It's not screaming confidence, is it? But then again, I guess they're raising more funds. So not really. After Westpac slashed its dividend earlier in the week, NAB said it would pay a final dividend of 83 cents a share, matching the dividend for the first half when the bank lowered dividends. The result caps off a weak round of bank profits with little prospect for substantial growth in the year ahead. Mr. Kronecker, who will become chairman when Ross McEvan starts as CEO from early next month, said banks were being affected by both the sharp rise in remediation costs and extremely low credit growth and low interest rates. So those two things coming together obviously have had a big negative effect on the profitability of banks. But one thing we know about our industry is that over time cycles change, and that there will be a growth cycle at some point in the future, and we'll be positioned to take advantage of it, he said. Let's have a look at the presentation for their full year results that NAB gave, the investor presentation from today, and we'll just have a look through there. There we go. Why before I look at anything, why would you make it different pages in the one PDF, guys? I mean, come on. So, assessing issues of the past and preparing for the future. Assessing issues for the past. What does that tell you? That doesn't really fill any of us with confidence, does it? We were setting to meet customer and community expectations. Royal Commission and APRA self-assessment, our roadmap for changes. Fixing past issues for customer through remediation, fee simplification, and reductions deliver better deal for customers. Maybe we just want you to not be as dodgy, restore confidence, So their financial parameters are sound, our transformation is delivering, and what's this? The cash earnings are down 10%. Large notable items, 1 million, 1.4. Cash earnings, excluding large notable items, are up. So it's this here, the large notable items, which has put the huge dent in it. Diluted cash earnings per share is down 12%. Diluted cash earnings per share, excluding large notable items, that's down 1.9%. So cash ROE is down 180, so at 9.9. Excluding large is down 12.7. Dividends, CPS, is at 166. And statutory profits are at 4.7. And Cert 1 is up 10.4. And let's look at their roadmap for sustainable change. I mean, we'll see how this all goes, guys. Enterprise-wide program led by ELT, overseen by NAB board with 150 strong working group. Realizing NAB's desired culture. Changes to executive remuneration framework and group variable reward plan. Rollout of one-day culture leadership program for all people leaders. Monthly survey of employees. I mean, wow, this is all it takes. I'm really glad I'm not in a corporate culture like that. I don't think I could handle it anymore. Better delivery. They want frontline technology upgrades, increased focus on technical foundations, processes and capabilities, 42% decline in critical and high incidents in financial year 2019, improved risk and accountability, restructuring NAB's risk governance commitments and charters, identifying and committing to new governance risks and compliance systems in 2020, customer fit review 300 NAB products and remove 185 fees. So there you go. That just right there in that one sentence, how many fees they've removed. It just shows you what the issue is. And they're going to find and fix issues. Provision of 2.1 billion and 473 grand of payments made to customers since June 2018. Wow, there you go. And here we go. Royal Commission response. Small business protections, extending the protections of the code to small business with less than 5 million in total borrowing. They completed that. Default interest. Cease charging default interest to agri customers in drought declared areas and are impacted by other natural disasters. Good. Vulnerable customers. Launch a customer service hub for customers experiencing vulnerability and financial hardship. Indigenous services. Create Indigenous customer service telephone line to improve access for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander customers, particularly those living in remote areas. Well, that's an issue there in the remote areas where you had the telemarketers ringing up I'll screen that. I'll pull it up so you can see it. Telemarketers ringing up and selling the funeral insurance to them in the middle of nowhere, and they would then ring up and try and claim this insurance. So guys, this is interesting to see. I will link to this if you'd like to go through the whole thing yourself, and I'm sure most people have if you're invested in NAB. But what do you think? Where do you think it's all headed? Are you surprised at their decline in profits? I mean, it's not much of a dent really, and it looks like the market has certainly accounted for it this morning. But let me know what you think. If you like my content and want to help me produce more, I do have a Patreon and Subscribe style where you can make a small contribution. I appreciate all your help there. Please share the videos, get the word out, and let me know what you think about NAB's decline profits and how you feel about that in the comments below. Take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.